The pads are on and Vikings training camp is in full effect. The reporter, Randy Moss from NFL Network, joins me today. And Randy, I feel like whoever talks to you have to say the reporter in Minnesota because you think about the ultimate Randy Moss. But for you, how's everything going so far?
It's going all right, Gabe. I mean, obviously this offseason is different, not just for the players and not just for the coaching staffs in the NFL, but for the reporters as well.
Yeah.
For anyone who's in the media covering the Vikings, it's a big change, or any other NFL team. But other than that, I mean, I think we're all looking forward to what we hope will be a good season.
For sure. And just speaking of the season, we've all heard the storylines surrounding the Vikings this offseason, from the draft, the free agent signings, Mike Zimmer. But now the training camp is here, it's in full effect. Who are some X factors? Who's one X factor on both sides of the ball for the Vikings that Vikings fans should keep their eye on?
Well, I think one big X factor on defense is going to be the two rookie corners, Jeff Gladney and Cameron Dantzler, because it's no secret that one of the big question marks of the Vikings this year is how those corners are going to stack up, because they're all gone. I mean, right now you've got a couple of veterans in Mike Hughes and Holton Hill, but the top three corners on the Vikings defense, plus another corner that Jaron Kearse, who played very well last year, are all gone. So those two guys, I think the rookies, are going to be real X factors to watch. And offensively, it would be another rookie, Justin Jefferson, because then you're talking about trying to replace Stephon Diggs. The early reviews on Justin Jefferson are good, as everyone expected them to be. And I think what's going to help in his case is that he comes to the NFL out of an offense in LSU that was a very NFL-like, very fast-paced, very prolific. A lot of balls being thrown around, and that should make the transition to the speed of the NFL game maybe a little bit easier for Jefferson than it would be for a receiver coming from another program.
Year two guys, a guy that stands out to me is a guy from your home state, Armon Watts, went to Arkansas. What do you see? How do you see his progression, taking shape in year two?
Well, when he got to play, especially in the Bears game at the end of last season, I mean, he really turned some heads, and he's going to get a chance, obviously, in the middle of that defensive line to play a lot more snaps this year, I think, than he did last year. Linval Joseph is gone, so they're looking for some more stopgaps in the middle of that defensive line. And there's one thing that Mike Zimmer's defenses are known for. It's a very strong, very deep rotation in the defensive line, especially the interior of the defensive line. I mean, you got Daniil Hunter on one side. They're hoping Afadi Odenigbo will pick up the slack from Everson Griffin on the other side as far as the edge rushers go. But it's that middle of the defensive line where Armon Watts is going to be hanging out, along with Shamar Stephen and Jaleel Johnson and some of those other guys in the middle. That's going to be a very interesting rotation to keep an eye on.
For offense trying to score more points, how do you factor in time of possession, keeping the defense off the field also?
Well, if there's one team that's well suited to control the clock, time of possession, because of their offensive philosophy, it would be the Vikings. And what Mike Zimmer wants to do, and what Gary Kubiak has always done, is run the football effectively. The Vikings' issues on the offensive line last year, and they had some the last few years, weren't really run blocking as much as they were pass blocking. The zone scheme running, they did very well, and I think the production of Dalvin Cook showed that the offensive line was opening some holes for him. So in that regard, if the Vikings' offense can continue to click in the running game, then it might, you're right, I think it might take some of the emphasis off of some of those corners. And another symbiotic relationship here, just looking at the defense, is the relationship between the pass rush and the corners, right?
Right.
I mean, it's something that casual NFL fans don't always pay enough attention to. If you get a really strong pass rush, and with Daniil Hunter, the Vikings have one of the best in the business. If Odenigbo can pick up the slack from Everson Griffin on the other side and can really put pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, they got to get the ball out of their hands quickly, and that helps the corners. Right. So maybe if the pass rush can continue where it was in 2019, that also will help take some of the emphasis off the rookies at corner.
You talk about help. You talk about Dalvin Cook also. He helped out this offense a lot. 2019 was, his breakout year. How can he build on that in the 2020 season?
Well, number one is to stay healthy. That's the big issue right now, if you want to call it an issue. I mean, that would be at the top of the wish list offensively for any Minnesota Vikings fans, is a fully healthy Dalvin Cook all year long. And that's obviously hard to do when you're playing a position like running back, and you handle the ball, you touch the ball as much as Dalvin Cook does in the Vikings offense. Last year, he was also challenged with staying healthy. And at least what he showed Vikings fans last year is that he was willing to get out there and play with pain. And that obviously compromised his effectiveness to a certain extent, but a healthy Dalvin Cook would really go a long way toward doing that. And he's so good, not just at running the ball, but at catching the ball out of the backfield. I mean, he's like having a wide receiver in the backfield. It just gives an extra dimension to that Vikings game. And his backup, Alex Madison, Deuce, as they call him, is no slouch either. So the Vikings are really strong in the running game.
Lastly, the Vikings will win the NFC North
if the defense is as effective as it was in 2019. The division as a whole might not be quite as strong this year, the competition that the Vikings are going to be going up against. I think very few people believe the Packers are going to go 13-3 again in 2020. There were a lot of interesting situations that had to develop in the Packers' favor for them to be able to finish the season with that kind of a record. The Lions should be better this year, but they're obviously not a top-notch team right now. And the Bears are going through their struggles as well. So, the Vikings are certainly in with a heck of a chance at winning the NFC North, especially if that defense can play well.